let's go to, I don't even want to say this isn't a sacred cow cookout because I think a lot of people don't know this about Muhammad Ali.
I didn't.
Can you think of any civil rights celebrity? Now, I don't mean like Jesse Jackson. I don't mean like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. I'm saying a celebrity or an athlete who has been turned into more of an icon of the civil rights era than Muhammad Ali.
Very few.
Very few. I can't think of many because you're talking about a guy, right, who people remember as a man who sort of dodged the draft and went up to the Supreme Court because he was saying, "Why am I going to go fight a country when my country won't fight for me? Viet Cong ain't done nothing to me." You know, that whole deal.
Yeah.
So a lot of people remember that. And they remember him having a problem with the United States government, and they hold him up. And a lot of Black Lives Matter, and some people with the Muhammad Ali estate have been trying to cash in on Muhammad Ali's name. Here's what's interesting: is his actual son, I believe. I think it's Muhammad Ali Jr. If I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
If I'm not mistaken, let's make sure we have that name right.
Junior.
I'm pretty sure. I know it's Ali Jr., but you know they have so many names. Sometimes when you have the Nation of Islam and they have their birth name, they have a different name.
Yeah,
it is Ali Jr.
It is Ali Jr.
Jr.
I thought it was Cassius Jr. What?
I thought it was the sequel.
Yeah, it's like Creed. We need 4 of those. Like, hey, let's take Rocky. Everything that you like about it, the characters, the soundtrack, yeah, none of it. And we'll call it Creed. Okay, I like that. Yeah, we'll sell it to a more urban demographic. Great. So Muhammad Ali's son, he said that his father would be vehemently against Black Lives Matter. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't a quote taken out of context because you see this a lot where people take a quote and go, see, and the person says, well, hold on a second, that's not what I meant to say. Yeah. Which actually happened with Muhammad Ali Sr. when people tried to say that he spoke out against Trump, and he went out of his way to correct it. So I want to be clear here. But let's read some of the quotes from Ali Jr. This is from the New York Post. He said...
It's impressive.
Okay, let me preface this. Ali Jr., because what I'm about to read, no doubt would register as white supremacist, alt-right, going in and kicking Antifa with a trash can shield. That's what they would think you are. This is Ali Jr., Muhammad Ali's son. And then we'll get to why you're wrong about Muhammad Ali and why he was actually a conservative and probably hated you using him. So, from New York Post, my father would have said, they ain't nothing but devils. My father said, all lives matter. I don't think he would agree with the Black Lives Matter movement. Ali Jr., a Muslim like his father, said, I think it's racist. It's not just Black lives matter, white lives matter, Chinese lives matter, all lives matter. Everybody's life matters.
Huh.
Well, right there, all lives matter, right? That's a white supremacy dog whistle from what we've heard.
Yeah, that's true.
By the way, it's Sean King blowing it. But he's just blowing it at a statue of Jesus because it's like, that's not going to take it down.
He's hopeful.
It doesn't matter how much you huff and puff. It's still Jesus, Sean
He's
King.
walking around it, though.
He thinks it's built out of straw.
Oh, it's not.
Then he says, God loves everyone. He never singled anyone out. Killing is wrong no matter who it is. Then when he was asked about the police, specifically, and I won't even get into some of the things that he said about the George Floyd case because I think he goes too far the other way where I don't even necessarily agree with him.
Right, yeah.
But he said, police don't wake up and think, I'm going to kill N-word. I won't say it because I'm not Kimmel, so I don't have the hood pass, apparently.
Right. You're right, yeah.
I don't think, they don't wake up and think, I'm going to kill an N-word today or kill a white man. He said, they're just trying to make it back home to their family in one piece. Now, this is interesting because this ties into Muhammad Ali before his death, where they tried to say he was anti-Trump. He was actually anti-Islamic terrorist, vehemently so.
Yeah.
So his son said, these people, Black Lives Matter, they're no different from Muslim terrorists. They should all get what they deserve. They're effing up businesses, beating up innocent people in neighborhoods, smashing up police stations and shops. They're terrorists. They're terrorizing the community. I agree with the peaceful protests, but the Antifa, they need to kill everyone in that thing.
You got to be kidding me.
A South Indian is going, wait, I'm sorry, kill everything in that thing? You're calling that group a thing?
Strong views on Antifa there.
But he says Black Lives Matter, reiterating, sorry if this seems a little bit dry, but I think you should know this. Black Lives Matter is not a peaceful protest. Antifa never wanted it peaceful. I would take them all out.
By the way, lest you...
Ali Jr., ladies and gentlemen.
Lest you think this is a guy that grew up in the lap of luxury and privilege. He only gets $1,000 stipend from his dad per month from his estate, right? And grew up on the south side of Chicago, one of the hardest places to grow up and have that opinion.
That's kind of a dick move. Only giving him $1,000.
I know. Their relationship fell apart in the last decade, I guess. So it was kind of bad.
Well, that's what people will try and say. The relationship fell apart. But let me point out here that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. You remember the civil rights icon of Muhammad Ali. Well, guess what? People mature and they change. And like all people, they become more conservative as they get older and they have children, they pay taxes, they have skin in the game.
Yeah.
That's what happened with Muhammad Ali. I want to be clear. Muhammad Ali, first off, he moved out to the suburbs because of all the crazy violence that he hated in Chicago, right? And actually showed to Joe Frazier. And he used to call up Joe Frazier and say some really racist stuff that was actually pretty funny. They were kind of buddies, but not really frenemies. When asked what he thought about Africa, this is after the Rumble in the Jungle Zaire, he said, "Thank God my granddaddy got on the boat."
Wow.
Now, let me be really clear, because you'll say, well, maybe that's not indicative of Muhammad Ali himself being more conservative, because we have the quotes from his son, and his son is speaking about his father, and then his son is speaking for himself, and we have Muhammad Ali shifting his views on Africa. He did endorse Ronald Reagan. Now, I know you'll say, well, at that point, he just had to endorse Ronald Reagan, because who else was it? Well, he could have endorsed anyone else.
Sure.
But he went out of his way, so you say national politics, he went out of his way to become active in local politics, and the only person he passionately almost campaigned for, but certainly endorsed publicly, vocally, repeatedly, Orrin Hatch, you sons of bitches.
Wow.
Orrin Hatch. That says white. I mean, white Utah Mormon.
Yowza.
What conversations do you think happened there? I mean, for crying out loud.
It's not a whole lot they're going to be talking about, I don't think.
And then Muhammad Ali had a statement on the Muslim travel ban. I don't know if someone can actually bring this up. I don't think I have it in front of me. But he made a statement on the travel ban. Can we scroll that so I can see it, or can Gerald bring it up really quickly? This is where he said, I don't have the exact quote, but here's the thing. What did happen was he was talking about people in the oh, there we go.
There we go.
Our political leaders should use their position to bring understanding about the religion of Islam and clarify that these misguided murderers have perverted people's lives, views on what Islam really is. So then people came out and said, ooh, this is a shot at Donald Trump across the bow, right, over the travel ban. And they said that he was referring to people, meaning the United. They tried to imply that he was referring to Americans as murderers, or people who were taking out terrorists. No. His statement was actually about taking out all of the Islamic terrorists. He went out of his way, by the way, spokesperson, to respond, specifically the Paris shooting, San Bernardino. Muhammad Ali later in his life was crusading against the current state of Islam. And yes, he was still a Muslim, but he said you got to stop with the anti-Jewish speech, you got to stop with the anti-Israel speech, and we need to take out all of these Islamic terrorists who warp the view of what Islam really is. And here's the thing, you may disagree with that if you look to Muhammad, and I've talked about that, but I don't disavow the idea that there are plenty of Muslims who are trying to change the course of religion now and bring it into the modern world, and Muhammad Ali was one of those men. So again, even at the end of his life, when people try to say, Muhammad Ali speaking out against Trump, and now they're trying to say, Muhammad Ali doesn't need your pardon, Donald Trump, right, the estate, because they collect money. Kind of like when we got sued by the Bob Ross estate, and then we realized they had nothing to do with Bob Ross, and the family hated them. But in other words, the easiest thing to do would have been for Muhammad Ali to say nothing. But he endorsed Ronald Reagan. He campaigned for Orrin Hatch. And then when he made a statement about the horrors of Islamic terrorism warping the view of Islam, and he was saying, we need to go and take out these murderers, and he saw that the media misquoted him to attribute it to Trump, the easiest thing would have been say nothing. He went out of his way to say, no, not Trump. Wasn't aimed at anyone specifically, certainly not Trump. It was aimed at Islamic terrorists. So the Muhammad Ali, who you think you know, is not the man he was for the majority of his life. And he doesn't get the praise for what he did. He doesn't get the praise for what he did afterwards when he became an anti-segregationalist, right? He realized that segregationalism, which is what he believed in when he was younger, right? He didn't believe that black men should be with white women or vice versa. He realized and understood that it was wrong, and he spoke out against it, and he would help people regardless of color. But for some reason, Black Lives Matter want to hang on to this idea and image of a young, angry, and ignorant Ali, which is what he would tell you exactly.